It isn't easy to take a recast role in a popular TV show for many reasons, starting with the fact that viewers usually develop a strong bond with their favorite characters and the actors behind them. It's common that seeing a new face take the place of an already established character causes mixed emotions in the audience. While lack of popularity was exactly the case of Robert Newman, known for his roles in series such as Guiding Light and General Hospital, he hasn't been safe from the usual challenges which came with taking the role of the ruthless Ashland Locke in The Young and the Restless in 2022. Was his sudden addition to the show challenging for him, and why exactly was he afraid of taking the role? Keep with us to know all the off-camera details about this new page in Robert Newman's career. Regardless of his vast experience acting on TV, Robert Newman admitted on a Facebook post that he was scared to death to take the role of Ashland Locke in The Young and the Restless, saying, "But I think that's healthy." His initial anxiety regarding his new job was directly related to his prolonged hiatus from TV following the end of Guiding Light in 2010, in which he portrayed Josh Lewis, his most iconic and best-known role to that point. It's also safe to assume that Robert's apparent fear of playing Ashland has to do with his admitted respect for the show, on top of becoming a recast actor, which is usually a challenge in itself. That being said, his initial reluctance was replaced by excitement, as he said in an interview with Soap Opera Digest, playing a bad guy in the show was always fun, and it isn't exactly a new experience for him, considering his history of soap opera roles. Knowing Robert Newman was going to take the role of Ashland Locke was a surprise for every fan of The Young and the Restless, but so it was for him too, as he admitted in an interview with Soap Central. It really came out of nothing, absolutely nowhere. Receiving a call from the show's producers wasn't the only sudden thing about the process, as even sorting out the character took a matter of just a couple of days. It was a real crazy weekend with myself and my agent, and with my wife Britt, just a lot of really difficult discussions. As per Robert's admission, the show's negotiations were difficult, given he was invited to be in the show for a certain period, which he didn't agree with. Fortunately, the sides eventually came to an agreement, and Robert was on a plane to California the following day, after signing a 6-month contract. While contract details about Robert's hiring are unsurprisingly unrevealed, it's for sure that he got a juicy offer from the show, considering he was really needed to fill in the role following the previous actor's exit. Taking on a new role all of a sudden is a challenge for any actor, no matter how vastly experienced they might be. This is the case of Robert Newman playing Ashland Locke from Overnight, given how it affected an important part of his personal life. As he said in an interview with Soap Opera Digest, the hardest thing about adapting to his new job was to be away from home. I had that sense of just barely keeping my head above water, that pedaling as fast as I can kind of thing, he said in reference to the first couple of weeks in California filming the show, for which he had to move across the country and leave his comfortable life and growing family behind. Fortunately for Robert, adjusting to Ashland and the show was done in a matter of a couple of weeks, despite still missing his loved ones dearly. However, he also confessed to going through certain episodes of anxiety and stress, often questioning the real source of his insecurities. How much of it is really more to do with how, out of complete left field, with no advance notice, I picked up and came 3,000 miles away, he questioned himself in the same interview. While no one can blame Robert for feeling pressured in this new chapter of his professional life, it's for sure that he's adapted to it. There's nothing like a good off-screen dynamic to make the job more comfortable for actors, and even exciting. Such is the case with Robert, who despite joining The Young and the Restless cast suddenly, was received with open arms by many co-stars. As he confessed to Soap Central, he bonded rather quickly with Amelia Heinle, who plays the role of Victoria, Ashland's wife, and central part of his character's ongoing plotline in recent episodes. It's clear to me why she's won a couple of Emmys. She's just really good at what she does, he said in reference to her acting skills and how rapidly she adapted to acting next to a character played by a different actor. Besides Amelia, Robert also developed a good job relationship with Eric Braeden, who plays the role of Victor Newman, his on-screen father-in-law. Apparently, their first meeting was followed by prolonged talks about Shakespeare and all sorts of acting topics, which was an honor for Robert, given the respect that he has for Eric It was astonishing to see where he went from just quickly reading through things and blocking to the final tape. He said in regards to a scene shot by the fellow actor, which he described as an acting masterclass. Ashlyn Locke's character was introduced for the first time in The Young and the Restless in early 2021, initially played by actor Richard Burgi. Ashlyn's introduction as a tormented villain quickly gained the audience's approval. While it isn't rare for soap opera roles to be recast, Richard's exit from the show wasn't a simple matter. As Deadline reports, he was actually fired for inadvertently breaking the on-set rules to prevent COVID-19, which dictated a 10 days isolation period. I felt terrible about it. I still do. It bothers me mightily, but it is what it is. I respect whatever the show's decision is, as Richard admitted. Even though the consequences of his actions were severe, it's important to point out that it was an accident on his part. As Richard stated, he had complied with the 5 days isolation period recommended by the government, without realizing that the show had different rules. Prior to the incident, he had tested positive for the virus following a visit back home for Christmas, and though he tested negative back on set, not following the exact requirement led to his firing. However, he apparently had no hard feelings about the show's decision. They're doing the best they can, as we all are, he concluded. Playing a recast role isn't an easy matter for many reasons. The aforementioned audience liking for the previous incumbent often affects their perception about the incoming actor, on top of the new struggles the cast has while adapting to a new coworker on stage. In the case of Robert Newman, the biggest issue the audience had when seeing him as Ashlyn Locke was the fact that some of them remembered him for his character Joshua Lewis in Guiding Light, as Cheat Sheet reported. However, Robert's well-earned popularity for that same role is what ultimately gained him the hearts of his new audience in The Young and the Restless, even though it took him a couple of episodes after his debut to accomplish that. Just taking a look at the comments on his Facebook page, going from "You are doing an amazing job at making this role your own" to "I am so glad to see you on TV again," are easily found. That being said, Robert's limited time in the show isn't exactly what his longtime fans were expecting, but they're surely excited to see him on TV again after so long. No matter how much we love seeing Robert Newman on screen again, that doesn't mean that his character Ashlyn Locke is any less questionable. While his tragic past as an abused kid abandoned by his mother might have gained him a bit of sympathy from the viewers, the fact that he stole his late friend's identity, forged a will, and faked the death of his friend's parents, and became a ruthless businessman aren't incidents easily forgotten. As Ashlyn built an intricate web of lies surrounding his life and fortune, while trying to hide the fact that his real name is Robert DeFranco, he's also fallen prey to other characters' traps. For starters, Harrison, whom Ashlyn thought to be his son, was actually the product of an affair between his then-wife Tara and Kyle Abbott. Upon discovering the truth behind the paternity, it was admittedly saddening for the audience to see the usually proud and stoic Ashlyn being emotionally torn. Following his separation from Tara and growing attraction towards Victoria Newman, Ashlyn heartbreakingly reveals he's diagnosed with cell carcinoma at stage 6, further thickening the plot. Regardless of his villainous status, Ashlyn's divorce from Tara was good news for many viewers, unlike his growing romance with Victoria Newman. As expected, pairing up the heroine with a bad guy isn't an easy plot twist to accept, though the audience was surprised to see Ashlyn becoming increasingly emotional and opening up to her regarding his illness. However, blissful times don't last when it comes to soap operas, and this was no exception. Though Ashlyn told Victoria about parts of his troubled past, his lies came undone soon afterwards, as Jesse Gaines Jr., the only person to know the truth about Ashlyn, asked him for a final payment for his silence. It wasn't long before more people knew Ashlyn's true identity, including Victoria, who surprisingly married him regardless. Just when the audience thought Ashlyn might be straying away from lying, he faked his cancer treatment and following recovery. It turns out that his cancer diagnosis was a lie all along, and even though it was eventually discovered, Victoria not only forgave him, but accepted running away from Genoa City together. However, though now the audience knows Ashlyn isn't in danger of dying of cancer, nothing in soap operas is for sure, and his character could possibly come to a tragic end in other ways. Robert Newman's career on TV started in the 1980s with his role of Prescott Harrell in the popular drama General Hospital. He was introduced as Peter Harrell's brother and was left with the task of finding an Aztec treasure with Jack Slater, whom he later fatally shot. Ambition led Prescott's character to commit several crimes, including shooting, assault, and kidnapping. Quite an impressive list considering his character was in the show for only a couple of months. Robert's next acting opportunity came the following year in Santa Barbara, another daytime drama, focused on the high-class Californian family, the Capwells. Robert's role was Kirk Cranston, the plotter who got in the way of Cruz Castillo and Eden Capwell, effectively seducing and marrying her, using their relationship as an advantage to discover her family's secrets. Kirk's character's lies are slowly discovered following Eden's miscarriage, prompting a series of incidents which led to attempting to murder several characters before disappearing for good after a fight with Cruz. Although Robert only played Kirk for a couple of months, the character served him well in growing his reputation as a villainous type of actor. Probably Robert's most iconic role to date is as Josh Lewis in Guiding Light, a character he on and off portrayed starting in 1981 to the show's end in 2009. Despite being a villain, Josh is considered one of Guiding Light's most iconic characters, to the point of being included in Entertainment Weekly and Soap Opera Digest in the respective Soap Opera Super Couples list, with his on-screen wife, Reva Shane, portrayed by Kim Zimmer. Following Guiding Light's cancellation, Robert mainly focused on roles in plays, such as Peter Pan and Gypsy, among several others. I've been working through 4 to 5 plays a year, almost every year in different parts of the country. I've been doing guest spots and then, of course, the auditioning, he commented to Soap Central in early 2022. Robert's return is even more meaningful given his extended hiatus from TV. Even if his time as Ashland Locke eventually ends, nothing makes his fans happier than to know that he's active and displaying his talent as always. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.